Got another stop before my next assignment. I was listening to this really cool band called Modest Mouse.
Farther north, as the front slips on in, it's not out of the question to get a couple of thunderstorms capable of producing some quarter-size hail, but I don't believe all of us are going to see that. I think the vast majority of us probably won't, and we're not seeing it right now. There's that severe thunderstorm watch I was telling you. That's south of Brownwood till 10 p.m. Got one.
Well, we're off to the next assignment. After It's Gone is a song by Drive-By Truckers. Patterson Hood and the Downtown 13. Pretty good band. They got it together. They figured it out. And they were able to lay down some real good songs. But you ever want to turn on some good old, kind of like alternative country, not really like REO Speedwagon, but a little kind of like that. Drive-By Truckers, they're real good. They're a real good band. Well, the weather report said there might be rain, even a thunderstorm. We'll have to figure it out here coming up. What you doing up there, critter? What you doing? You taking a little nap? What are you doing up there, critter? My great-grandma, Margaret Mitchell, with the same name as the lady who wrote Gone with the Wind, used to get burgers at a place called Burger Box, which is right here. Clearly see that. Good old place, get some burgers. Granny Wawa or Margaret Mitchell. When you were a kid and you used to go real fast and hit that bump, try to jump in your car, all Dukes of Hazzard style. Well, I don't do that anymore. Whoops. The New OK is a real good song by the Drive-By Truckers. Real good. Real good. Now, we have to look at the real reasons why Wright was killed recently. And what Biden might have to do is kind of analyze some of these traffic stops because of, because of the pandemic. I mean, if one of those officers had COVID or coronavirus and stopped him, and they brought him in and he got coronavirus and died from coronavirus, no different than the female officer shooting him because she thought she was holding a taser. She might want to get a postcard and write out to Amber Geiger, and maybe Amber Geiger can give her some some advice. Because Amber Geiger didn't know what she was doing with her firearm either. Now, the way Biden can handle this situation is carefully review every single traffic stop. Now, it's going to take some time. Because of Corona, they need to analyze traffic stops. What this recent murder or manslaughter, which is what the officer will go to prison for, needs to be analyzed is the reason for a traffic stop. Now, I have seen officers flash their lights and go on the other way, turn the other cheek and go on the other way. And traffic stops are basically getting people killed. So they need to regulate speed traps, traffic stops, and also serving warrants. So when they go and investigate this recent murder, they need to investigate the reason for the serving of the warrant. Now, can you serve warrant to a dangerous criminal, like, let's say someone that assaulted somebody, or let's say even murdered somebody or something like that? Yeah, I mean, I could see it. But what was the reason for the serving of the warrant? Was it, a traffic ticket? Was it necessary? Because now that man that was a father is no longer alive over probably an unnecessary serving of a warrant and maybe even an unnecessary traffic stop. Do you see what I'm saying? What are you doing way up there, critter? You just flipped up there by accident? What are you up there for? It's right by Shepherd Ferry. This is all over North Richland Hills, these little prints. They need to do immediately. They need to train the police officers and redesign the tasers so that you don't deploy a taser anywhere near the way that you would deploy a gun. So you would deploy a taser kind of like a wand. You'd twist it, you'd point and twist, or you would squeeze a little thing, because they can redesign the taser, because usually they're guided by a laser beam anyway. So the taser would be like a flashlight looking thing that you just squeeze, and that way this can be understood rather than that is different. So basically the new design for the taser is not going to be something that you go like that. That's the gun design, right? That's a lethal weapon move, right? So the taser would be some other kind of thing that you do so you can't get confused and just kill somebody for really no reason. Where'd you go? Where'd you go, critter? Oh, you're way up there? There you are. In layman's term, the taser would have no trigger. It would have some other kind of device that it would deploy that's completely opposite of what a gun would be, so it wouldn't be the same design. So changing, of course, the taser to more like a wand is important, but the idea is to have officers tested and psychological testing where their intelligence level is going to have to be higher and they're going to have to be slower to anger. So the idea is to be slow to anger, where they're not just pulling out or pulling their sidearm out for just any old thing, you know, like basically they're not really like flipping out. And also they would be able to use discretion on stops, so it's not like oh, I'm just gonna pull this guy over because, you know, he has like a marijuana charge, or he has like a warrant for something stupid like a traffic ticket or something, you know, where right now those are dangerous to serve. Because what about they go into county or whatever and they get coronavirus and die of that, and they have to sue the department because it's just not worth it, you know. I think their testing is going to have to go up, you know. Relying on the military for police officers is the wrong avenue, you know. So you ask the guy, were you in the military? Oh, you're not going to be, you don't need to be a police officer, right? You need to be a lifer in the military. You know, it should be like a college degree requirement or something, a psychological degree. You know, they're going to have like doctorates in psychology. Look, I mean, and then they can increase their pay. There's just too many officers out there that just pull out their gun and, you know, taser, and then, oh, I didn't know I had my taser. So they need to bring up the intelligence level, and also they need to, it's got to be an anger thing where they test their anger. You know, if there's a type of person that would get angry, then they don't need to be an officer. They need to be like a UFC fighter, you know, or something. They need to make sure that they don't lose control. The psychological testing has to be a standard in higher education. What I really kind of mean about the doctorate in psychology is maybe not the officer may not have to have a doctorate in psychology, but maybe the person teaching them might have to. And also, the police academy needs to like completely change when it comes to who they accept and who they pass. Yeah, they have to go through physical demands, which they usually don't keep those physicalities once they are officers, which is a problem. Physicality, you got to realize, you got to understand psychophysical involvement. Officers gaining weight can create anger. Officers that are eating wrong can create anger. You got what you have is you need a touch-up in police academies where they have to go back, get retrained, more training, you know, and psychological training needs to go up. They have 90% training of their weapon and 10% of de-escalation. It needs to be 90% de-escalation and just a few percent in training with the gun, really, because they'll do their own training on that anyway. So the Taser 1 would be the size of a fist. That way it goes in their fist and they'd have to pry their fingers apart to try to grab it. I'm not talking about a wand stick. I'm talking about something that's about that size that they grab onto and can squeeze. And with technology now, it would have a laser sight and they would just, they would just go right from their, you know, almost like a glove thing. But it's not a glove, but it goes into their hand, so they can't fight over the wand. It's a smaller little thing. So rather than this, because an officer can go, oh, well, I thought I had my taser, it was my sidearm. Well, they need to make it where they can't make that mistake. So they're basically like, it's a very foreign looking thing. It doesn't deploy the same way as a trigger gun would. So it would deploy like some kind of thing like that, an extension of their fist kind of thing. Now that right way over there to the right, that one I haven't ridden. It looks like it's real fun. And right there where the oil derrick is, if you look to the right, you're gonna see that is the Giant. And the Giant is a real dangerous roller coaster. I have ridden a few times, and it's a pretty cool little ride. Now, the old derrick's real high. You go up there, you can see Dallas skyline. You look over the other side, you can see Fort Worth skyline. And up here pretty soon we're going to be passing the famous Shockwave. Now, the Shockwave was a real famous roller coaster when I was growing up in the 80s. We used to have season passes, and we'd ride the Shockwave, and just go up and down, upside down, all kinds of fun stuff. But there's the Old Derrick right there, and then right on the other side of the Old Derrick, they got this anthem theater where big old rock bands used to come in a long time ago, and they'd play like REO Speedwagon or Delight or real famous bands like Rick Springfield. Things. I don't know if he did, but he certainly did come to Texas. My first concert was Rick Springfield, and then I saw Van Halen. There's a Shockwave right there. That's a Shockwave. And then on the other side of that is a real fun one. You got Batman, and then the Joker. That one's probably Gotham City right there. I'm just guessing. That one's Gotham City right there. And then other one right over this way, further down this way, that is the Joker right there. There's the Batman sign right here. You can see it right there. And that's the Joker up there. And that's real fun to ride. Haven't ridden it, but I heard about it. I heard it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to ride in Six Flags over Texas in Arlington, Texas. Right there. And then there's Judge Rory scream right down there. Ultimately, love is the answer. If you love your neighbor, you should be A-OK. And don't forget, kids, that Conan OBrien needs a friend. Probably one of the best actors since Laurence Olivier. Thought this was interesting right here. It's like, what in the world? Yeah, in some cases, you know, the quicker you get these apartments, the quicker you get it done, get to the next one. Looks like it might be rain coming up. Right, Critter? Hiding way up there. What are you doing up there, Critter? So I thought about a cartoon intro for the Please Subscribe show, and it's like this cartoon car puttering along a windy road, all this smoke coming up behind it or something, and then you see the Kia sign, and then you see Critter hanging from the windshield, then he sticks to the, you know, the side of the windshield or up on the top or something, where he's, you know, he's all legal Critter and everything, or whatever, you know. And then it shows maybe like a friend in the passenger seat, and then, you know, it shows like a, you know, like one of those baskets or whatever, those things that hold food, and it shows me knocking on the door for food for friends, and then leaving a thing of, I don't know, McDonald's or whatever. Then it switches back to me in the car kind of thing, driving or something. You know, it has like an intro. About to see is an Airstream Mercedes. Don't know a lot about them, but you can see it has a side door right there, and you can see kind of how it's situated. It's a Mercedes-Benz. Conan OBrien was making a point with Bob Odenkirk in an interview about how he loved how people made fun of pretentiousness, you know. And I think that is a very, very intelligent observation from Conan OBrien. I'm going to try to do a Bob Odenkirk impression. Well, I was trying to make it effing work and Conan, I was, really effing, better call Saul. Listening to Anderson Cooper, someone made a really good point about human life and how people were getting comfortable with what's going on, and that the Floyd incident, what happened with Floyd was a human being, and people were just kind of, they pass it off as something else, But they should have a human rights community or a human rights committee in Washington. Human rights, like just looking after people's human rights. If an officer puts himself in a situation and a person gets killed, just like, just what happened the other day with Wright, Dante Wright, they need to kind of check it and have a committee, or even within the departments, to say, look, I understand you want to pull the guy over for a misdemeanor warrant, but right now, because of COVID and because people's lives are being taken from them, I don't think the traffic stop is necessary. They should have, listen, I worked at a bank, and we had to get approval. And a beat cop should get approval, and then listen, the person that should be held responsible should be that judge. It's those types of people that have the power that need to be on trial, not just the police officers, but the people that are allowing human life to be taken away. Those are the people, the judges are the people that need to be sitting behind bars, because someone's enforcing this. And they call in, they say, oh, it's a misdemeanor, or even if it's a felony. Even if it's a felony, is it worth their life? Is it worth that person's life? And that's the type of people that need to be in the department saying, no, it's a serious charge, but because of the situation, what's going on, it's not worth pulling that person over and taking their life. And yes, the police officers will be held on trial, but I think it should move up higher. It should move up higher to where other people are held accountable for the loss of life due to not stepping in and saying, no, that officer's not going to be able to make that stop, that kind of thing. And, Wright would be, he would be alive today if we had a department within the department, internal affairs kind of thing. So basically you would have, the officer would be able to pull him over. And, after the officer pulls him over, they have to get in touch with a department to see if they can even approach the car. And then that would have to get approval of that, which is probably some of the stuff they have to do in serving a warrant. But the problem with Wright's case is that it was a misdemeanor warrant, and they served it, and now he's dead because he was scared. Maybe he'd get put in jail and get COVID, and maybe he'd die or whatever. So he ran for his life, and he did run for his life after the shot because the officer clearly said taser, 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 and fired. So you're getting to the point where this is happening quite a bit. So here's like a regular stop, okay? So the cop stops and says, and goes, because as a banker, we'd have to get approval to run a check. So I got the check, let me call for approval. So all beat cops would call, and they would say, well, what's the situation? Well, so-and-so did a rolling stop or something like that, okay? Then they would have a thing, they push a button that shows the license plate, and they just send it to them in the mail. They do that anyway with the cameras, with the stoplight cameras. So they would pull them over, make sure they get a clear ID of the license plate and a photo of it, and they just send it to them in the mail, which is what they should do anyway on traffic stops. In that case, They could have probably sent him a mail saying, just wanted to inform you that, this misdemeanor's out in your name or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And we'll send it to you in the mail. Because in a lot of misdemeanor cases, they just get lawyers and fight it anyway. Like Dante Wright could be dealing with a lawyer right now and just fighting the misdemeanor case, whatever the misdemeanor was. I don't even know what the misdemeanor was. But they had to put him in cuffs during a pandemic, and then he died. He got killed. So the regulations need to be where less people are getting detained, less people are being put in bondage. And what I mean by bondage, I mean by getting arrested. Because there's also people that have died in jail cells, especially with COVID. So they would basically go into the, department say, no, it's not worth it. Just hit the button to send the ticket to the mail. So they don't even have to go up to their window and spread COVID and all that stuff or whatever's going on. Because the only way that you can really spread COVID, coronavirus 19, is by approaching another person. Or, there might be some other ways to do it, but really it's by getting close to another person. And when you arrest someone and you put handcuffs on them, you're actually getting close to that other person. So you're endangering their lives in that aspect. It's just got to the point now where police officers are in so many opportunities to endanger other people's lives. Now, not that their lives are not endangered. I mean, they get hit on the side of the highway by 16-wheelers and killed, and there's nuts out there. I mean, I'm all for SWAT having the guns that they need to have to protect our society against, gun-slinging idiots that are out there, There's plenty of times where it's called for. But what I think is we need to go heavy on the taser, but not kill people thinking, oh, this is a taser, and actually it's a lethal sidearm. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen within the department where they get approval. They're like, well, we'll just send the ticket. We'll just send the ticket to them in the mail, or we'll just notify them a different way. Because any type of arrest that you do on anybody nowadays endangers that person's life, regardless of if it's a legit arrest or not, because of coronavirus. One of the main reasons why we need to look at policy and have departments within departments, like internal affairs and approval codes or approvals to pull people over, is because of coronavirus. Because we don't want to kill them with the coronavirus. Second reason is because we don't want to accidentally shoot them, because people are getting shot and they're saying accident. Right now it's going to Minnesota. Listen, that lady's going to jail, okay? Whether she's a police officer or whoever she is going to jail. But I think the judge and at least the department or the people in the department, authority figures in the department, should be held accountable. That's the people that need to be on trial. And there's too much crime within the department. Everybody knows there's crime within the department. That's the purpose of internal affairs. So we know that there's problems. It's clear. It's happening all the time. Every time I sit down and I watch the news, I'm awaiting to, it's like there's another person that's got shot by a lethal sidearm by a police officer that is going to prison because there are not proper protocol and there's not proper internal affairs going on. Now, I know the Dallas Police Department, they have cases where not everything is right. So I know that all police departments need to be investigated.